This week's episode sound quality may not be as best as it should be compared to other episodes in the season. I, Glenn, unfortunately had the flu at the time, and there has been some issues with the sound recording. Hopefully you still enjoy the episode and do persevere with it, because it does get better, I promise. Thank you for tuning in, and see you on the next episode.
Welcome to Caffeinated Conspiracies, where mysteries, conspiracies and the unexplained come to life. Grab your favourite brew and get ready for a mind-bending journey through the extraordinary.
I'm Omer, and
I'm Glenn, and together we're your hosts as we sip on curiosity and explore the enigmatic.
In each episode, we'll dive deep into the unknown, unravelling tales of intrigue and shedding light on the secrets that have baffled the world for centuries.
we're not just here to tell you the stories.
We're here to question them, dissect them, and invite you to join the conversation.
So, brew your curiosity, prepare to be captivated, and let's embark on this caffeinated adventure together.
This is Caffeinated Conspiracies.
And we're your guides through the uncharted.
Grab your coffee and let's dive in.
Prepare for a cosmic adventure as we embark on a journey to unravel one of the greatest mysteries in history, the moon landing. Join us in this riveting episode where we're accompanied by the incredible Jamie, our special guest who brings a fresh perspective to the conspiracy cosmos. Get ready for caffeinated discussions that will challenge your beliefs and ignite your curiosity. Buckle up, conspiracy enthusiasts. The truth may be out there, but are we ready for it? Yes, welcome back to Caffeinated Conspiracies. As you heard in the intro there, we have got a special guest this week. I don't know why I said incredible, because she's not. I mean, if I had to call her incredible growing up as a kid, then I would have disowned her as a sister. But I've actually got my sister on the show. It's Jamie. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi guys.
I mean, I'm not going to disown you now, but, you know, it's too late in the day, but, you know. And as always, I've got Omer. Omer, you don't really have like a little intro-y nickname bit there, like the Incredible Omer. But ironically, you did have a nickname at school, which fits quite well with this episode.
Oh yeah, Spaceman.
It was Spaceman. Again, I have I don't know how you got that. Maybe just because you were always out of it and you were just sort of like staring off into space anyway. But I thought, you know, for those that are listening, you can't see anything, but if you do go over to our TikTok, you'll be able to see that I'm repping my NASA t-shirt for this episode. It's appeared in a few episodes. And
Hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Unless NASA do want to sponsor us, that would be amazing. Send me and Omer
Depends
to the
on
moon.
our conclusions, really.
Yeah,
I don't think
send me-
NASA is going to sponsor us if our conclusions is they lied to everybody.
But if you want to prove it, send me and Omer to the moon. We'll do a podcast from there. We'd be happy to. Or the International Space Station. As long as we can see something in space, I'm fine. I'm terrified of the ocean, but space is fine. It doesn't freak me out that much. Even though
Many things can live there.
Exactly. Even though it's vaster, and I know that, you know, one slip and I knock something out of place, and a vacuum seal goes, I'm gonna die instantaneously. So I've come to terms with that, and I'm happy with that. But we digress. We go off. Yes, this week we are looking at the moon landing, whether it was real, whether it was faked, or what. Now, Jamie, on the show, what I do is I go around, obviously back and forth between me and Omer. Usually, when we have a guest, I like to ask them, where did their research take them? Did they do any research, or are you just coming into this with the knowledge that you know? Now, obviously, don't give too much away, because obviously we want to save some of it for the show. But yeah, where did your research take you?
Quite a lot of places.
Okay.
Starting with the space race, as I think that's where it all comes back to. But then I was looking at theories. I'm not going to go too much into it, but about the moon not being real, it being plasma.
Made of cheese.
Wallace and Gromit reference there, Omer. I love it. Sorry, Jamie, you were saying.
No, it's fine. So yeah, it all started with the space race. We're looking at fake pictures. Some theories are fake pictures. Some theories that it was filmed in a studio. But I will get more into that later on. But I've got a few theories.
Okay. Omer, what about you? Did you do much research into this? I know sometimes you do a deep dive. What about this
just
one?
watch Wallace and Gromit for this one.
Best way. I've had it on repeat all day. I wish I had, I was at work, but, if we'd put Wallace and Gromit on at work, I would have been well happy. But it's nearly
Did
Christmas.
also watch Apollo 13, but that one didn't make it there, so that didn't help prove anything.
See, I watch NASA's uncovered files and things like that, where they did try, where they went round the surface of the moon, they sort of slingshot around the moon and back, and as they got round to the other side of the moon and the radio went dead, they couldn't communicate with Earth, and they started picking up these weird signals coming from the moon. That freaked me out, and I tell you what, it sort of lines up really well with some other episodes that we've got lined up and some other theories that we've got going forward. But obviously, this week we are sticking with this episode. Now, let's get into the main story of the moon landing. Basically, Jamie, you were right where you said there it started off with the space race. But going back to our first episode of this season, JFK is the one who kicked off the space race. His dream was to put a man on the moon by the end of the century. So I've got here in July 1969, in little over 8 years since the flights of Gagarin and Shepard, followed quickly by President Kennedy's challenge to put a man on the moon before the decade is out. Wearing bulky spacesuits and backpacks for oxygen to breathe, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first human beings to walk on the moon. Now, after the two stepped onto the lunar surface, Armstrong proclaimed the very famous words. Anyone have a hazard as to what they were?
Small step for man, a giant leap for mankind.
And do you know what he was meant to say?
It was exactly the same. He just missed an A. It was like a small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. I think his mess up worked out better than his original.
I think it did. I think that has been a very powerful sort of phrase that they use now. When going off a little bit onto a tangent here, but I'm a firm believer, and I will say I think we have been to space, we've been to the moon. I do believe that in a way. But I think looking back at that, just thinking that there was, we managed to get somebody off this big rock and onto another one. I think that was a massive feat of ingenuity. And it's something that hasn't been done again. And I think that's where a lot of the questioning comes in, because we only did it a few times with the Apollo missions. But then one day we just decided to never go back. Yet we all got dead excited, a couple of months back, where India sent a rover to the moon and everyone got dead excited. It's like, oh my God, they've put a rover on the moon. Yeah, but we've put man on the moon.
That wasn't the point. India was way behind technologically.
Yeah.
So for them to got so far they can put something on the moon was impressive for a country who put zero into the tech.
Yeah. I think it was more for the fact that they landed on the dark side of the moon with this rover, and obviously that's what they were exploring. But like I say, we'll get further into it. Humans were only able to make small steps after several other space firsts happened. In 1957, the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched into space by Russia. The United States launched several satellites of their own afterwards. Both countries hoped, I should read my own writing here.
May have hopped, we don't know.
They may have hopped, yeah. Hoped to be the first to send a human into space. And it wasn't until 1961 that a person went to space. On April 12th, Russia's Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space. Less than a month later, the United States sent Alan Shepard, and he became the first American in space. Now, obviously, all they did was go up to space and come back down. Now, how do we feel about this? So, with Russia, and obviously things going on at the moment, I don't want to go into too much of that, but obviously this is also at the height of the Cold War as well. We've got a lot going on, and it's the space race. And Russia, let's say back then, because we're not talking now, very big on their propaganda. Now, they hid everything. We didn't know anything that's going on in Russia at all, apart from it's pretty much where Tetris was made, and that was about it. That's all we really knew. But this is before Tetris. This was well before it. So we're talking, what do we think? Do we think Yuri Gagarin actually went to space, or do we think this was just a ploy by the Russians to make it look like they were already a step ahead of us? I'm going to go to you, Jamie, first, because you're the guest. What do you think? Do you reckon he actually went, or do you reckon this is just Russian propaganda?
I think he went, but in space, just a few miles higher than going on an aeroplane anyway. It's not that big of a deal, considering we've been to the moon now.
Let's send you to space.
The moon. If we go on a plane, I'm happy to get me out of here. I will go. But yeah,
bye, kids. See you later.
I think they went into space. I'll give them that. But looking at pictures of when people went into space, looking at the rockets, how on earth did that get into space?
I mean, when you think about it, those capsules, they were sort of like sat like this. In like, they had like cushion here, and no space to sort of move your neck. And I'm sorry, I'm claustrophobic at the best of times. Now, I can only imagine what a bigger guy like me would be like in there, and in one of them spacesuits as well. Nah, I'd be like, get me out, get me the fuck out of this thing. It is too hot, there is no windows, I can't wind down the window just to get a bit of fresh air. If I do, I'm just going to lose all my oxygen and die. So, how about...
It'd be colder, though.
It would, I'd be nice and cool. But how about you go and suck a big fat one and leave me on planet Earth? I mean, the new spaceships that they sent off, granted the... what is it? Basil's looks like a giant penis, which I think he's overcompensating for something. And then you've got the SpaceX ones as well. And then you've got Branson with Virgin Galactic. They've all just literally go to the edge, don't they? Just sort of right up to the very edge of space and come back. That's pretty much what Gagarin did, but we're making like this massive deal of it when really Gagarin, it's already been done.
No, because they were going to the edge of our atmosphere and coming back down, whereas he escaped our atmosphere. He was literally in space. They're just going up to the point of where it technically counts as space, but that barrier to break is not so easy.
Yeah, I suppose that's
true. You're talking about weirdly shaped things that went up. Did you ever see what Sputnik looked like?
Yeah.
It was a ball with 3 sticks.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, I was looking at the original NASA space rockets and things like that before we moved to like the ones that we saw on Challenger and things like that. And sorry for bringing up Challenger then. It was the only one I could think of at the time that used that new design before we moved on to the SpaceX, sort of the Dragon capsules now. But they were just massive tubes that just sort of went off into space. And I'm sat looking at them thinking, who was turned around to you and gone, you're going to sit in that, we're going to fire off all this power underneath your arse and send you rocketing up into the sky. Right? What if it catches fire? Well, you're screwed, aren't you? Wait. There's no contingency plan. There's no escape pod. Nope, that's it. We're going to light this massive firework and you have to pray. And I'm just sort of like, that's a lot of it. That's a big risk. I mean, look at all the steps they took during the preparations for the Apollo mission. Was it Apollo 1 where they were testing and the capsule caught fire? Or was it Apollo 2 or something like that? It was one of the earlier Apollos. And I think it was 3 astronauts were caught inside the chamber and they all died. And you're just sort of like, wow, we sacrificed so much just to get to the moon. These people lost their lives. I mean, granted, they always say in documentaries and things like that, they didn't die in vain, we got to space. But
why? What? I don't understand why people need to go. Like, why lose your life? Like, what's so bad on Earth that you need to go to space?
Well, we'll get into that, but I think it's all to do with the exploration, you know.
There's gold on the moon.
Yeah, it probably is. There's oil. You know, that's what they're going for. Controversial! But no, I think it's because of the exploration side of things, is that we've explored pretty much all there is to explore on Earth. You know, there's not much we can discover now. All right, we find a new couple of species every couple of years in the rainforest that we never discovered, or we get further down to the bottom of the ocean and discover a new fish. But that's it. You know, we've got nothing fascinating. Now we're actually going off and we're exploring other worlds. They say that if we can at least get a group of humans off Earth onto another planet surviving in a sort of like a habitat or something, the human race would never go extinct. But while we're on Earth, there is still the chance that we could become extinct. But obviously, well, they don't want to leave it on doom and gloom. Let's swiftly move on there. So, following these milestones, as we said before about Yuri Gagarin and Alan Shepard going to space, following these milestones, President John F. Kennedy issued a challenge to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, to put a human on the moon in 10 years or less. NASA went to work on July 16th, 1969. The spacecraft Apollo 11 prepared to launch the crew of 3 astronauts into space and the history books. NASA officials selected Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, the lesser known one. No one really sort of talks about him, do they? Which is bad.
He didn't step on the moon.
Yeah, no, but he still had an important job.
He was there, but he didn't step on the moon. That's why he's not mentioned most of the time.
Why would you go all that way and not just put your foot out?
It's
like going-
You put your left leg in, your left leg out, in, out, you shake it all about.
It's like going to the beach and not putting your foot in, like dipping your toe in the ocean. You have to do it, don't
He wasn't
you?
even on the shuttle that landed on the
No,
planet.
he stayed in an orbit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. That's why we don't
I mean,
talk about him.
if you were in the shuttle that landed, I get you. Like, you would step on, but he wasn't there.
That's why we don't talk about
But
him.
he was in that capsule for a couple of hours by himself.
It's zero G. There's a lot of stuff you can do in zero G.
I ain't saying anything, but you know he did.
He was there with some M&Ms that he just scattered around. And he was just going, oh.
If that's where your mind goes, Omer. So before touching down, the 3 men split up. Collins boarded the Apollo 11's command module, the Columbia, where he would remain in orbit around the moon. Armstrong and Aldrin boarded Apollo 11's lunar module, the Eagle, and began to descend to the moon's surface. The Eagle made a risky landing in a shallow moon crater named the Sea of Tranquility. Most people watching the landing on TV didn't know the Eagle had only 20 seconds of landing fuel at this point. So, literally, they used a lot of the fuel just landing because they couldn't find anywhere to actually land.
Is that where the expression "the eagle has landed" comes from?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's what he said. The Eagle has landed.
Okay.
Jamie's learning all sorts on this week's episode.
I love it.
Armstrong and Aldrin looked out of the windows of the module at the lifeless, barren lunar landscape. After 6.5 hours passed, the pair inside the Eagle prepared to exit the module. So they didn't just land and then go out. They had 6 hours. Because obviously they had to put the suits on and decompress the chamber first. So that when they stepped out onto it, they didn't just get sort of sucked out and blown off the moon. I mean, that would have been a completely different story. Just, oh yeah, they land on the moon. Where is he? You still see him floating around every couple 100 years. He just sort of like, just his body just, hello, save me, as he floats on. So 20 minutes, Aldrin climbed down the ladder. Armstrong stepped out first, became the first person on the moon. 20 minutes later, Aldrin climbed down the ladder and joined the partner. After reading a plaque that said they came in peace for all mankind, the two planted the United States flag on the surface. At this point, President Nixon, who was now in charge, congratulated the astronauts. Armstrong and Aldrin went back to work collecting samples of moon rocks and dust. After over 2 hours, the astronauts bought 47 pounds back from the lunar module and prepared to rejoin Collins. So basically, they brought back 47 pounds worth of like moon rocks and things like that, and prepared to join Collins. And it was time to go home. The Apollo 11 crew returned to Earth on July 24th, 1969. The next several years, 10 astronauts would follow Armstrong and Aldrin's footsteps. The last mission to the moon was in 1972. So that's just the story of the actual moon landing itself and what led up to it. Now, did you guys get anything else as well that you want to add into the story of everything?
Just quickly check my notes.
Yes, you check your notes. That's what this little pause is for.
And a minor of conspiracies. I've got nothing else about. I've got one thing. There was a guy. It does link into a conspiracy though. So there's a guy called Bill.
Conspiracy on a conspiracy theory show?
know.
Never.
So there's a guy called Bill Casing who worked for NASA very sporadically, but still worked for them. And he was the first person to conspiracize that the moon landing was fake,
Okay.
even though he worked for them. So that is a major red flag for me. That why I believe.
Okay. Omer, what about you? You got any other bits that sort of popped out to you while you were doing your research?
The conspiracy theories, a lot of the ones that kept popping up most prevalently were like from the Flat Earth Society. So I was like,
No, we love those guys on here.
big fans.
Absolute lunatics, but we love them.
But yeah, I was just like, take everything they say with a grain of salt, or like a whole bag.
Rock salt.
There was like, it wasn't just Bill. I think Bill Casey was the first, but there was a few others that came out from NASA and were like, we have theories that it's fake and this is how it could have been done, but none of them could verify it from what I could see.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I believe that we've been to the moon. I really do. But at the same time, and most episodes I do this, is I have that logical side of me that breaks things down and sort of tries to look at them reasonably. But there's also the bit that I really enjoy, like, we really did go, I love that, that's a brilliant idea, but look at your phone. Your phone has more computing power than what got the guys to space. There is more computing power in my watch. There's more computing power in a calculator that's in my desk than what got those guys to space. And that bit, when I put that into perspective, it is mind-boggling into the fact that now it costs us tens of billions of dollars just to build a rocket, just to get it off, just to get it to the International Space Station. And it's no easy feat. And I'm just thinking...
That's fuel.
Exactly. Well, have you seen the price of fuel at the moment? It's ridiculous just to fuel my car up, never mind a rocket. If my car ran on rocket fuel, I'd be knackered. How long is it going to be before we get electric rockets, you know? Just off on one there. But
Go green, go off the planet.
But that's the thing. The more I sort of look at it and I think, oh wow, that's amazing, we got to the moon. And then I actually put things together and I'm like, well, hang on a minute. How was that possible when we can't do that now? How is that possible when we couldn't do that 2 years ago? But they're planning that we could do it in another couple of 100 years. And it's like this, it's like they're making a big deal about, what is it, Project Artemis, which is going to the moon next, which I believe is in 2 years' time. It might be next year, I might be wrong. I'd have to have a look into it because I can't quite remember. And this is like a big deal that we're actually sending somebody back to the moon and we want to make a moon base. But didn't they plan that originally? Wasn't that the original plan so that they could start looking to get people to Mars? So why did they scrap the plans then and only just decide to bring it back now? And my logical mind is putting two and two together. It's like that was the plans back then. Maybe it was all faked, and that was the plans back then, but they didn't have the means to do it. And now they've got the means to do it. They've just brought those plans back and hoped that enough people had forgotten what had happened back then for them to do it now.
Mostly about money. But considering, what was it? Every space, the only humans that have been on the moon are all from NASA. They're American astronauts.
Yeah.
And there's 12 people that have landed on the moon.
Yeah.
They're all Apollo missions as well. I think Apollo 17 was the last one to actually have humans to land on the moon.
Yeah.
There's 12 in total people, and no other country has.
No, it was Apollo 11, sorry, and that was 1969.
That was the
No,
first.
sorry, yeah, 1972 was the last one. Sorry, you're right, I've got my time all up then. So that's not many years between 1969 and 1972. And
3 years.
10 astronauts altogether.
12 in total.
12 in total, so 10 more followed afterwards.
And we've never gone again.
And we've never gone again.
It reminds me of, the leader of North Korea, what's he called? Kim Jong-un, whatever he's called. So I seen some.
Carefully,
No,
carefully.
I'm careful.
Please be careful.
I am being very careful. Don't you worry.
Oh God.
So during the World Cup, obviously in North Korea they're not allowed to watch international television, and Kim Jong-un was reporting on the World Cup, and he told everyone in North Korea that they won the World Cup 100-1 goals. I don't know what country he said it was against. So everyone in North Korea
Made up, he stan.
Yeah, but that's what it reminds me of with the Americans going. And it reminds you, just imagine Donald Trump if it was now or a couple of years ago when he was in power. He's like, yeah, we've had 12 people on the moon, and no other country in the world does. And he's so adamant, and he believes his own lies that he's adamant that 12 of his people went on the moon, and no other countries managed to do it. That's another major red flag as to why I don't believe we've been to the moon.
There is also, what is it, 14 countries that have been to the moon? Not with humans, just with rovers and whatever, satellites, whatever.
I get that, yeah. I fully get that, but people, why have they not put people there?
Right, but all of them have not only been there, but verified that somebody has been on there.
Yeah.
They could all be in cahoots.
First country was...
Hang on. All in cahoots. We can't agree on terms of land. What makes you think we're going to agree on terms of pictures of the moon?
Well, that ties in very, very well with the conspiracy of the Illuminati. So if you do have me back on season 3, I will explain in more detail.
I was going to say, when you look at the list of the countries, you may want to agree with yourself. So, first one, everyone knows, Soviet Union got there first. Not a human, but they got there first. United States was second. Japan, European Space Agency, China, Luxembourg, Israel, Italy, South Korea, India, United Arab Emirates, and Monday, Russia.
And we haven't been there at all.
UK does not need to be there.
You know what we can do, though? We attempted to send a car to space. A rocket that looked like a car. Did it work? Did it fuck? But you can watch it on Top Gear.
Our big contribution to the space race is we tried to send a car.
We tried to send Robin Reliant to space. Yeah, didn't
about 100 miles up and then let it drop. Okay.
Yeah, didn't Elon send his first Tesla to space with an astronaut in it? And isn't it still up there or something?
With the astronaut?
No, it's just it was a dummy of his test suit what he was making for one of the launches, and he's put it up there with a live video feed. But yeah, he sent his Tesla up his first one, but. We've sent stuff up before. I mean, look at that guy who went to the edge of space and for Red Bull and jumped out, didn't he? And it's we've got live recording of what it sounds like in his helmet. Oh God, no! As he's jumping. That'd be me. But what we will do is we're going to go into the conspiracy side of things because I know Jamie's itching to get into this. I can see her every time I say something, she's nodding and agreeing with me. And obviously the listeners can't see that, but I'll tell you that she's been nodding along and eager to get on. But before we do that, we do need to take a very quick break.
I would fly you to the moon and back if you be. Won't you be my baby? That
is like a TikTok clip right there. That is the TikTok clip for this episode. How Omer brings us back.
We're sticking to that, or I was like...
Yeah, no, we'll stick to that. I like that. But yes, we're back after our break. Omer singing us in there. Jamie joining in and just me just vibing to it. It was great. Like I say, you can check our TikTok clip. You'll see it on there. Savage Garden, big shout out. Big fans of the show.
They're not.
Shut up, they are. You don't know.
You don't know who the listeners are.
You don't know what Savage Garden do in their spare time. You didn't check their, end of year Spotify Wrapped.
That's true.
Bearing in mind, when people are listening to this show, it's probably going to be in February, this episode. And we're recording in December, so that's why it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time to be alive. So yeah, let's get into it. So we are going to talk some conspiracies now. Now, Jamie, because you've not been on the show, and I know you were a listener of Season 1, but you've not heard anything from Season 2 yet, what we do now, when we do our conspiracies, we have one conspiracy first, we talk about it, and then we rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 of how much we like it and how believable we find it as well. So, so say if I said to Omer, I've got a conspiracy theory that the moon's made of cheese. Both me and Omer like it. It doesn't have to have any credibility to it. It's what we believe and what we find interesting. Omer, the moon's made of cheese. What would you score that on a scale of 1 to 5?
5.
5.
That's
Absolute
like more than
5.
enough reason to go to the moon.
Exactly. Some crackers, some skis, a rocket. We can do it.
And some caramelized
like
onion.
Each crater could be your own fondue.
Exactly. No, you just take a jar of that, what is it, caramelized red onion sort of chutney, right, with some crackers, some cheese. Oh, mate. The listeners now are frothing at the mouth thinking, God, I want this. I could do with some cheese. I don't...
What kind of cheese it is?
Wensleydale.
Nah.
Cranberry.
There's holes in it. It'd be Swiss.
Swiss, yeah, Swiss cheese, there you are.
Smoked
Or-
apple or something.
Or a good Gouda, you know.
Yeah, with some pickle and crackers.
Yeah, see? So, obviously, for those that are listening, if you can hear the voice in the background, that is the lovely voice of my fiancée, who does do the introduction with us, and will be on a few episodes as well.
I was going to say the fact that it's round, it probably is Edam.
Probably is Edam. It's around, yeah. Oh, mate. So, let's move on from making our listeners hungry and just want some cheese. For those that are lactose intolerant, there will be a warning at the start of the episode. Warning, this episode is not for people with lactose intolerance.
Please take lactase before watching the episode. Watching, listening. Yeah.
Do whatever you want. So let's go on to sort of the big first conspiracy. And I think the first big one has to be that the whole thing was faked and filmed in a studio by Stanley Kubrick.
Yep.
What did you guys find out about that? Jamie's checking out, so I'll go to you, Omer, first. What jumped out about you about that one? Because obviously it's a big one. It's apparently this is like the biggest one of all.
Yeah, and that was all because of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
That was released the year before. So, like, to prove that you could fake a moon landing, Kubrick had already basically done it. He had a whole movie set in space and monoliths and throughout time and a space baby. So, like,
exactly.
fake, like, you know, that sort of, which means the tech was there. It was, I've forgotten. There was someone else, 2 other people mixed in with it because Walt Disney was in on it.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the other person was. One of you might have it in your notes.
Arthur
C. Clarke. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Walt Disney and Arthur C. Clarke. So Arthur C. Clarke apparently wrote the script, and then Walt Disney basically funded it with Stanley Kubrick directing it. That's the idea, because America's on they're on a race, and they want to beat the Russians, and they don't think they're going to win, so let's fake it. Fake it till you make it, that's the saying, right?
That is the saying, fake it till you make it. Jamie, what did you come up with for that bit?
So, Stanley, is it Kubrick or Rubric?
Kubrick.
I can't read my own writing. So, like Homer said, he did direct 2001: A Space Odyssey, and he's rumoured to have filmed the landing. And apparently there is references in The Shining, which he also directed, that, like an Easter egg, essentially, what we have nowadays, like an Easter egg from one film to the next. And there was a child in The Shining that wore an Apollo 11 jumper. And when this little boy's playing on the floor, it looks like the layout of the moon. So yeah, so it's like a little bit of an Easter egg there. So I believe it. I believe all conspiracies all the time.
All Jamie's going to rate all these conspiracies 5 out of 5.
Could just be a homage, though, not like an actual, like, hey, I did it, here's the proof, because I'm going to have a kid, like, recreate it.
So obviously, we've got this theory that Kubrick filmed the moon landing and he's set it all up. A lot of the other things are what people have said about it, like the aperture of the camera wasn't wide enough to sort of film everything. But it's not just that. What they said was the shuttle was attached with old type cameras because it had a better feed to send back to Earth. And what they couldn't do is they couldn't broadcast that live from the moon to the TV. So what they had to do was broadcast it to a station and set a camera up to film a TV to broadcast that out. So there was like a 30-second delay in between everything that was actually coming through to what was being broadcast out. Yes, Jamie?
Okay. So, on that, I seen something that Neil Armstrong. So he was on a talk show. Some American talk show, and the talk show host said, "I remember my mum waking me up to come and watch it happen live." And he said it didn't happen live. What you saw was an animation out of his own mouth.
I actually like the one. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he was actually in an episode of Frasier, and he's talking about them landing on the moon and like, we saw things, and they go off into the booth when they're talking about something. They go back in and he goes, "But please promise me you'll never tell anybody." Tell anybody what? He goes, "Yes, that's good. Just delete all the tapes like it never happened." And they never actually pressed record. And he's done this whole big thing about them finding life on the moon. And I think that was actually quite funny. And I'm thinking, really, could they really get him to do that? But it turns out that he's very open about things, wasn't he? And there was this one guy who stopped him and said, obviously, it was all fake. Didn't he attack him?
Seen one guy who tried to force him to put his hand on the Bible.
Yeah, he forced him to put his hand on the Bible, and he ended up like telling him to get lost or he's going to knock him out or something.
So why don't you just put his hand on the Bible and say he went to the moon?
Yeah.
Because if I was adamant, if someone said, have you been teaching for the last year, put your hand on the Bible and swear you have, I'm there. I've done it. I'm not going to, do you know what I mean? If you've got nothing to hide, why would you not do it?
If you're an atheist and you have a strong belief in your faith and like you don't want to be like putting your hand on a Bible to make a promise to a God you don't think exists.
That's true.
I mean,
but if you don't, but on the other hand of that, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. But if you don't believe in God, you're not going to care about swearing on the Bible.
Stance right there.
I'm only joking.
Jesus.
So you're not going to care about putting your hand on the Bible and promising something that's a lie.
Depends
you don't
on
believe
the
in
person.
it anyway.
maybe at the same time. Go on, I'm sorry.
No, because if you're making a promise based on a deity, even if you don't believe in the deity, it means you are accepting the possible existence of him. So you wouldn't want to. There's multiple arguments to that one, but like it's still like an extreme reaction to a simple request.
That's true.
Yeah, it could also be the whole point of, and I know many people like this. I'm like this in a way as well, and like I say, I know my fiance is as well. If we haven't got anything to prove to anybody, we won't do it. I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to justify what I've done to you. Who are you? You're just some guy with a Bible. You know, not you, Omer, because obviously as you're on my screen, as Omer's the one on the screen at the moment, I'm just staring him in the eyes. And I'm sort of like, I feel like I'm actually like attacking you here, man. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I don't know. I think this whole Kubrick thing, I mean, I like the idea. I love Kubrick's work. I think he was a fantastic director. He had a great vision. What he did while he was alive was fantastic, and his films have been really cool. I mean, like you say, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Space Oddity. Is it Oddity or Odyssey?
Odyssey. Where do you get Odyssey from?
I don't know.
Do you where you got it from? Bottom. A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Kubrick.
It's a Space Odyssey.
Space.
She's doing the research now for
Yeah,
us.
Space Odyssey. Space Oddity is a song.
Space Oddity is a song. So yeah, 2001: Space Odyssey. Again, fantastic. But it's not just that. We've had many other films that are fantastic in regards to sort of landing on the moon, and you know we've done. I mean, look at like the. It would be hard to tell now if somebody had gone to the moon filming the way we do now. Look at the film Interstellar. That was absolutely a superb film, shot really well. It did actually look like, you know, it was meant to be in space and things like that. But obviously the one thing that a lot of people picked up on as well was the shadows on the floor. How can there be shadows? There's no light. But obviously they were saying that there was light coming from the the eagle, and obviously you're gonna have light from the sun at some point. You know, it might not
Did the
be.
sun just not exist for when they
Well,
landed?
it's because of where the shadows were. They're pointing in different directions and things like that, as if they've been set up by stage lights. But Kubrick very rarely made mistakes in his films, so I'm sorry. That bit for me is where it sort of teeters on the edge for me.
That was the one that the shadows weren't parallel, because if it was
Yeah.
from a light source from far away, the shadows should be moving parallel.
Yeah, exactly. And also, a lot of people were going, but you can't see any stars in the sky. But to be fair, you're in space.
No, that one's more to do with the camera, because for you to pick up stars, you need a longer exposure, which they weren't doing long exposures. Mm-hmm. So even if you pointed your phone at the sky now and did a short exposure shot, you wouldn't see stars because the exposure isn't long enough.
Exactly, and it's like, look at the cameras back then. They couldn't pick up rain on films. They had to put milk in the water to make it look like it's raining, because it wouldn't work, because it wasn't thick enough to actually catch on camera. So the light was so far away that the cameras couldn't pick it up. You've also got the fact that they're saying that the flag waves in space, but you're in a vacuum. How can the flag wave in space?
There's nothing also to stop motion, so the minute they touch the flag, it would start waving, and it would never stop because there's nothing working against it.
Exactly. And obviously we know that the footprints are there as well, and they say that they're still there because obviously there's nothing that can there's no wind, there's no atmosphere, but obviously it has been hit by little meteors and things like that, so there will be some impact. Yes, Jamie?
Just on the point of the footprints. So, it's the picture of the footprint, and it's got like lines in the shoe print, and then there's a picture of the spacesuits that Neil Armstrong wore, and the feet are bent upwards. I don't know if you can see. Well, you two can see. The feet are bent upwards, so you can see the print on the bottom, and it's a different print to those footprints that are on the moon's surface. But this is something that I get on research. Once I've researched it, it was apparently they had to wear what this guy called moon slippers, but like extra clothing and extra shoe protection to go out onto the moon surface. So that's a debunked one right there.
Yeah, because the fine rock on the moon is pretty much like tiny little razors, and they were saying that because when they sent up a rover, when they were sending it off, the moon dust was getting into its cogs and literally killed it there and then, so it didn't have a chance to move that much. When they've obviously brought samples back, they've seen what it's like, and it is like little shards of glass that's just getting stuck, and it's just solidifying. So you can understand, obviously, why they've had to wear some extra protection out there. Now, I mean, let's just sort of take that theory as it is from what we've got so far, because like I say, if we go too much into it, we could be here forever. And obviously we can always revisit this at a later date. But going off what we think for the movie, the lighting, the way it's been framed, the way it's been shot, and the fact that it was shot to a TV, recorded on the TV, on a camera, broadcast to everyone on TV in their own homes, what do we give this out of a 5? Jamie, I'm going to go to you first. What do you give this theory out of 5?
5.
5, okay.
Yeah, I think can I just quickly add something really, really quickly? So it's to this. So the movement of the people, which is ridiculous. I get there's no whatever the atmosphere and things, but I saw a theory that apparently it was filmed underwater, and that's why they're moving the way they are, because it's filmed underwater. Yeah, so still 5.
Okay, Omer.
I mean, that is some really good work if it was filmed underwater.
I know, yeah, not to get any of the
water,
yeah.
I'm forgetting the theory. Like, if that was filmed that is just pure, like, next level of genius to have done that as underwater and make it look like space with no light, no reflections of the water, anything. That would be amazing. I like that. But actually Kubrick doing the whole thing, there's a lot that does go against it, but I do like it as a theory, because America's not against faking it to make it.
Yeah.
So for the first moon landing especially, I would give it a 4.
Okay. You know, I'm sort of there with you, Omer. I like it. Again, there's that part of me that believes that we have been there. and there's part of me that does want to believe, man has been to the moon. We have left objects on the moon of mankind, that we have been there. The flag is there with a base and everything. It's all set up, and we do plan to go back. But also, like I say, when I've put 2 and 2 together with the fact that there's more computing power in my phone than there was in just one computer to send those guys to the moon, it does make me think. I mean, to be fair, I work in tech support. Half these people can't even turn a TV on properly. So, I mean, it just makes you think. And that's not a dig at any of my customers, by the way. If you know who I am.
Not working, turn it off and on again.
But yeah, Omer, I think I'm going to go with you with that. 4 out of 5. I like the idea. I think it's cool. If it was staged like that, that's fantastic, and they've done a really good job of it. Now, any other theories that you guys have come across at all?
Moon landing, like, a lot of it comes down to sort of, like, the theories are weird, because everything goes back to the videos being faked. Every theory I come across.
Yeah, pretty much everything goes back to the video being faked.
There's the one that I kind of would put higher was only the first one was faked.
Okay.
Because they were in a space race, they needed to land before Russia did. They didn't, as James said earlier, they didn't know how wedge they were up to at the time. So, like, you want to be there first. You can't guarantee you're going to be there first, so fake you're there first, and then land later.
Yeah.
So when we're actually seeing sort of other countries have sent probes or rovers to the moon, and they've seen footprints, the theory is that they are from the first moon landing.
Yeah, they're from like the second.
Imagine, yeah, because America NASA have confirmed they've sent 12 people to the moon.
So what do you reckon? They were just like really close, but hadn't quite cinched it yet, and they just thought, right, we need to pretend we've gone, because we need to beat Russia at this point. The country is losing faith in us. We made a promise that we'd get to the moon by the end of the century. We ain't done jack. We've pretty much killed astronauts. We need to make it look like something. So obviously they've got this film together, made it look like they've gone to the moon, and they were just that close to doing it. It's like, right, we know we can do it next, but this one we're gonna have to fake it.
Yeah. That was one of the theories that came across.
Kind of like that one, that they were genuinely that close. I mean, we've all done it where someone goes, "Oh, have you finished your essay?" "Yeah, mate, I finished it. It's done. I've already handed it in." And then the night before, you are literally panicking, sweating, trying to get it all typed up as quick as you possibly can, just to hand it in on time. And then when your mate's like, "Oh, mate, I was knackered right at the end of it." "Ah, mate, it was a breeze. I did it ages ago." You didn't. You waved it off last night and hoped for the best. So we've all done it, and I can see that as quite a believable thing.
And considering the low quality of the original video, because like the original video that was aired live, which technically wasn't live, yes, it was delayed, you could get away with it, and then by the time the astronauts have hit back on Earth, you've already got like proof that they were there, because you can be like, here's more real pictures, because we did it a little after we told you.
It's like that. In the most famous picture is the blue marble, isn't it? The picture from the capsule that they took. And didn't they only take like 3-4 pictures when they went to the moon? Yeah. I'm sorry, but if you go into the moon, I'd be taking loads. Absolutely loads.
Some pictures on what? Because all the cameras that are out with them, there's all disposable ones that you take to Spain with you. Like, what did they take it on?
Those little Max Spielman ones that you wind up, push and hold the flash button for about 30 seconds, make small talk. Can you just smile for me? It's nearly done now. Say cheese. Oh, I've put my finger over the lens. Can we do it again? 1 sec. They used to make that little weird winding noise at the end when it was run out. Oh, I gotta remember them. Yeah, I generally don't think they took like a digital DSLR camera up into space, but obviously you still had those, like, I think they like use the old little windy ones where it just runs on cogs and things like that, and then takes the picture with the sulfur. I think that was how they did the pictures. And I could be wrong. I need to look into that myself. But they got one from the capsule window, and then there's ones where you can actually see Buzz Aldrin's shadow. He took a picture on the actual moon, and I believe.
Hasselblad.
What's that? Sorry.
It was a Hasselblad camera.
A Hasselblad camera.
So not a Sony one or
Not
Kodak.
Not a Kodak. Not a Max Spielman toss-away camera. What's that?
The image was shot by the Apollo 11 commander Neil Armstrong with a specially adapted Hasselblad 500 EL camera.
There you are. It was a specially adapted camera.
Yeah, because like the standard camera back then wouldn't have even taken the picture.
No, it would have froze as soon as you tried to take a picture.
On pictures?
From inside the module.
So you have to take the pictures from inside the module.
Okay, on pictures, there's a verified fake photograph from the Gemini 15. So the astronaut was Michael Collins, and there was a picture of, like, someone took a picture of him in training. So you see all the training stuff behind him, and it looks like he's floating and he's holding some form. It looks like just part of a playground in his hand. That picture has then been edited. The background's been blanked out, so it looks like he's in space. And they produced that and said that that was a picture, and obviously then it was found out to be fake because it's the exact same picture, just flipped, and the background blackened out.
Also,
Oh, hang on, I've got a bit more information. 1 second.
it was only retailed at the time for $500.
So yeah, the camera that was used was only retailed at the time for $500. I mean,
You say only as if $500 back then was a small
yeah,
amount.
exactly. But can you imagine how
Not
much?
like pocket change.
You never know, you know. Can you imagine how much that went up in like revenue over time just because of that? It's like, yeah, well, this camera took pictures on the moon.
He actually bought it from a photo supply shop in Houston.
He bought it from a photo supply shop in Houston. There you go.
Everything she's telling me just makes it seem more and more fake. I don't think that's believable. I believe Lizzie.
Yeah.
I don't believe the resources she's using.
So going off Omer's theory there that he's come up with, Jamie, what do you give that on a 1 out of 5?
I say it's actually more believable than the last one, so I'm gonna have to go 5 again, aren't I? Yeah, fake it till you make it. I think that's what it was.
That's just this episode, isn't it? Just fake it till you make it.
Yeah, my life.
Omer, it was your theory. What do you give it?
I like that one. That's the one I feel is more true. They're like, I give that one a 5.
I give that a 5 actually because I really like that one. The fact that they've probably made it up just to sort of spur you on, and they've spurred on the whole nation then sort of rallied behind them. I mean, look at the big parade they got when they came back. It was massive. Everyone was happy. Everyone was celebrating. I'm pretty sure crime was like at an all-time low. You never know. It's not long since JFK had been assassinated, but yet everyone was dead happy and cheering and celebrating. And they sort of clearly forgot that Nixon was in power. So, I mean, it did something, right?
The only thing I really like about that theory is, like, everyone celebrated Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Imagine you were the guy who actually was first. Let's say Pete Conroy or Alan Bean were the ones who were actually the first.
Yeah.
And they get the parade and like, they did it before you. We don't care about you. Does anyone remember their names?
No.
Do you know what, Family Guy did an episode of the moon landing? I think it's Family Guy. It's
when he comes out of the soundstage and he goes, "Oh my God, I've just seen you on TV!" So he shoots him and puts him in the boot with the car. Jamie, have you got any more theories?
Of course. So, the theory that what I alluded to earlier on is that the moon is not real. So, kind of a few theories, but I'm just going to summarize them as one, because that's what I like to do. So there's a theory that the moon is an illusion, and it's something to do with the reflection of the sun and how it's not an actual thing. And if you look at the moon, you can sometimes
It's
see
like a lens flare.
Yeah, and you can kind of see through it. So if it's something solid, how are we going to see through it? It's not transparent. It's an actual planet-ish. So how can you see through it? On that note, let me move back.
Is that where you all sitting and go, "That's no moon. It's a Death Star."
A space station.
A couple of years ago, I was driving around the area. It was Christmas Eve a few years ago. And I was like, what is that? And it honestly looked like a car was driving around with a massive light beam from the car. And I had my daughter in the car, and we're driving around. I'm like, can you see that? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, what's that? And I'm trying to get closer to it, because I'm thinking, why is a car driving around with this massive light on it? And then it started getting higher and higher and higher, and it was the moon. But it was literally so low and so bright that it looked like it was on top of a car. Like, it was the creepiest moon I've ever seen in my life. And the moon always weirds me out. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we can sometimes see all of it and why we sometimes can't. But you can sometimes see, like, you can see the crescent moon, for example, but then you can see the outline of the rest of the moon. I don't understand it. That complicates it. But let's carry on with the theory. So, another theory.
Jamie's been eating too many Jaffa cakes.
Oh, I love that out. I love that out.
I was doing that this morning as well.
Full moon, half moon, total eclipse.
So there was a guy, and this interview that I saw, I think it happened a couple of years before the alleged moon landings. The first one's in 1969, and it was called Professor R. Foster. Okay, and he was doing an interview on TV, and he had a theory that the moon was made of plasma. Okay. And he said, he was going on about, he's like really adamant, and he spoke to people at NASA and this, that, and the other, and he believes the moon is plasma. And then the interviewer said,
I would make it a
well,
sun.
If it's plasma, why? Because obviously there was already this plan to land on the moon. It had already been televised. It was going to land on the moon. So this reporter said, well, we're going to know soon because they're going to go and land on the moon. He said, they're not going to land on the moon. So the reporter said, well, why are they pretending the moon is a real thing if it's plasma? And he said that if his theory is right that the moon is plasma, then the government now need to tell everyone the reason for the tides, and they need to re-explain the theory of gravity. And that if the moon is plasma, like he believes, all them rules that we know about gravity and the tidal patterns is wrong. And the reason why they don't want to then go into it is because it's going to cost them a lot more money to actually understand the real reason for gravitation, the real reason for the tidal patterns. And
Did
the reason
he
why they
have a
wanted to keep
real
it
reason for it?
No, because he believed the reason about the moon. And then when he did his research,
if he believes the moon
moon
is plasma, and that the moon being plasma isn't affecting gravity the way it is, hence not affecting the tides, if he's adamant that that's the case, then he should have another theory to support his idea of a plasma.
He was too busy just to his theory about the moon.
Just too busy.
It's just I've thrown an idea. Somebody's give me I've told them, hey, if this isn't real, then all of this isn't real. But I'm not going to explain how that all ties together. Whereas somebody's already telling you, this is a ball of rock that's affecting gravity and giving you all the science behind it on how that works. But he's only just saying, they're wrong about that, but I can't explain the rest of it.
He's dead now, Omer. I can't ask him.
I think you should.
Are you not a necromancer?
But that's a theory that's now become really quite popular on TikTok. So not the plasma one, but about the moon being an illusion. So if you do look on TikTok, there's lots of there's lots of conspiracy theories out there about why they
don't believe everything you watch on TikTok.
No,
folks.
not at all. But there is a lot of information and a lot of research gone on there from other people. I'm too busy to go into research on whether the moon's real or not.
Well, there's still with that though, where you say like it's the illusion or it's made of plasma. There's the other idea that people believe it's actually a satellite.
It is a satellite.
Well, no, it's our satellite. It's Earth's satellite, but people believe that it is
like a man-made satellite.
Yeah, it's not natural.
But it predates man.
Yes, but does it predate all? No.
So you're saying alien satellite?
Yes.
Yes, we finally got to aliens on this episode.
I was trying to say it without saying it. So obviously there's the theory at the moment of the Black Knight satellite, which is a rock that seems to be floating around Earth. We have no idea what it is.
Suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, and we just never really wanted to look at it. It was just there, and we were like, no, it's fine. But people are like, but it's a satellite. Look at it. Look at the shape of it. Look at the design of it. And they believe that there's a rock flying through space, a Oumuamua, I believe it's called, which is it's very strange because it's moving in a way that a rock shouldn't move in space, like it's being controlled in ways. It turns awkwardly in ways that it shouldn't turn. and it can speed up and it can slow down, and it can take sharp turns, and we're like, what is it? So there's a theory that the moon is the same, and that obviously if we'd ever actually been to the moon, we would have landed on it and found that it was metal or it was hollow and there was something inside. Now, there's also, with that, it's also the theory that it sort of ties into the same theory, is not only is it like a base, but we want to put a base there, but the Nazis already made it there and put a moon base there during the Second World War. I mean,
that wouldn't surprise me, because from my research, apparently the head of NASA was a Nazi. And going into Omer's theory before about Disney, wasn't Disney supposedly a Nazi as well?
Yeah, Walter was, yeah.
So that all links to come back to that theory, so maybe you're right.
And now we know why we had Nazi UFOs.
And we've solved it. I give this theory a 10 out of 5. So going off that theory, what do you think?
There's two theories there. Actually, Jamie proposed two. You made a third. So theory one was it's a ball of plasma.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So going on that theory, what do we believe of that one?
Ball of plasma, I've got to give it 2. I mean, I like the idea that it could be, and that we could be wrong about it, but there's just nothing supporting it.
Well, the fact that the guy who came up with the theory couldn't be bothered to do any more research because he was too busy.
I made that up.
It a 1.
No, she doesn't know. She did
I just made that up.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know everyone. He might have had a theory, but in that short clip I saw, he didn't go into detail.
Yeah.
I say he couldn't be bothered, so I give it a 1.
I'm gonna go 2.
Okay, so the second theory was the moon's not actually there.
Yeah.
Can I just add something really quickly to that? So you might have seen it. So it's a video of people on the Samsung taking pictures of the moon. And if you zoom in,
about the
I don't know.
Yeah, the AI filler.
Yeah. So if you zoom in and zoom in and zoom in on the moon, it'll show the surface of the moon. So all these people with Samsungs, weirdos, were saying, "Oh, look, I've got a picture of the moon. I've got a picture of the moon." And then someone just drew, I think it was like, I'll cut out a piece of paper circular, stuck it on something, zoomed in, and it put the face of the moon on it.
Because Samsung had put an AI into their camera that when you try and take a picture of the moon, an AI generator would fill in the bits that your camera couldn't pick up.
Yeah.
So you will get, on Samsung phones, a clear picture of the moon, despite it not technically being your picture. It's sourcing it out to AI to fill in the gaps. This is why you can put a piece of paper, and it's just the Samsungs that do this, though.
Well, I still think that goes with my theory that the moon is an illusion, and Samsung are funding it.
But the AI has got to get moon pictures from somewhere. It's not making it up. It's using other moon pictures to fill in yours to make it look.
Photoshop.
And that's why if you zoom in, it basically is. But it's Photoshop from other pictures. They're not using a made up source. But they're not. But then again, they're also not being open about where those sources are coming from. So yeah.
The thing with me is, not the thing with me, but a theory that I really like, and this is about life in general. Why are we going to believe everything that people tell us? So a scientist could say, right, I've looked at the moon through a telescope. I haven't personally. So why am I just going to believe him? Why am I going to believe history books because someone said it? I weren't there at the time.
Why haven't you looked at the moon through a telescope?
I haven't got a telescope.
That's a good answer, is any?
Have you got one? I'll borrow it. I'll have a look.
Not at the moment, no.
Why haven't you looked at the moon? I haven't got a telescope.
When I get one, I'll bring it around.
I'm so poor.
I'm a teacher. I am so poor. But yeah, my theory, I'm giving it a 3. Give it a 3.
For false moon, you're giving it a 3.
Yeah.
That one's as low as the plasma one for me. Like, it not being there is as broken as it being plasma. There's nothing to support it not being there, except
I can see it.
It's
outside the curtain. It's there.
Some people haven't seen it, and sometimes it has like a vague sort of you can see through thing, which.
So why can I sometimes see it in the daytime?
That's
because it's like
not
hello, Jamie.
Associated with the night.
Please don't forget about me. Hello.
We associate the moon to the night, but moon and night are not like intertwined. Moon goes round the Earth, the sun, we spin at the same time, so the moon does change and can show up during the day. It's
But when
the
it's
way
there during the day, I can see right through it.
That's because
It's
you're
just
looking at it through like 3 atmospheric layers that
Yeah.
are all being highlighted because there's the light being put through them. So you're not getting a clear picture of it during the day.
I don't like your science. I like conspiracy, and it's not real.
I like conspiracy, but like it not being there and it being plasma, I can't agree with. Although I like the fun idea of them, so I can't just
Yeah.
give it a dead 1. I'm going to give it a 2, like the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But-
there with you with that one. I like the idea, but without any sort of
if somebody can prove it to
substantial
me they're
evidence.
right,
Yeah, substantial evidence. It's fun,
but
but
it's a unique, like, sort of fun theory to
Yeah.
think about. Because then it's like, how do the tides work for one? Like, what are we seeing if it's not really there? Like, that's something to look into. The
theory that
alien
it's,
satellite theory.
yeah, 10. Giving it a 10. 10 out of 5. 100%.
Well, it's the one that kind of links all the theories together, what we've looked at. Still only a 2, though, I'm afraid.
This coming from the person who believes everything else is give everything a 5. And the one thing about aliens, she's like, nah, it's 2.
I do believe in aliens.
Good, that's why you're on the show. It's like the first question we ask people when they want to be on the show. Do you believe in aliens? You know what, right? Do you know what I believe it is? The moon, right, just going completely off on one, is Mothman's base.
This was one of my. I literally wrote it down as my own personal theory at the end.
Because there's a light at the end, and it is a light, and the moths are attracted to the light. So there you are.
Mothman
moon
lives on the
is
moon, and he
is
comes
Mothman's
down for
base.
each disaster.
There we go. Mothman,
That's a different
big
theory.
fan. He's a big fan of the show. We'd love Mothman on this show.
Well, Glenn does now.
Yeah, if he's not trying to sabotage my internet, yeah.
Maybe that's why it didn't work last week.
Maybe. Because this is just so the listeners know, this is our second attempt at recording this, and it's worked perfectly fine this time round. Touch wood. We are getting very close to the end. I just want to make sure it does work.
I like moon satellite theory, though.
I like the moon satellite
Both
theory.
aliens, Nazis being there first, which helps explain the Nazi UFOs and all the other stuff. I like it. I'm gonna give that a 4. I've not got proof of it, but it's a 4.
Yeah, I think the highest score for it is just because it's fun. It's it's a fun theory. It's interesting, and it really does sort of make you think in regards to what's going on.
We got one other theory I came across, and it wasn't about whether it was fake or real. It was why we went to begin with.
Because we went to the bottom of the ocean, we saw what was down there, and we thought, fuck this, we are getting off this planet.
And we still haven't left. We're still here. Clearly, what was up there was scarier than what's down here.
This is the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. But no, the theory was that because the moon is believed to made of 2 separate rocks, which means there's more likely of rare minerals, and like I made the joke of gold and cheese earlier,
Oil.
that we went looking for a more expensive thing. But yeah, we were looking for rare and precious material on the moon. That's what, especially America, they don't go anywhere unless you're getting something out of it. So gold, oil, you name it.
Well, that's the theory, isn't it? There's a lot
People.
of cobalt in space, and obviously we need cobalt at the moment to make batteries
iPhones.
for cars. Yeah, it's in everything. And they say that obviously the biggest deposits of it have come from meteorites and things like that. And they're literally sending children down mines in foreign countries
Africa.
to mine cobalt.
Are we
because
talking
it's the
about
only-
cobalt or vibranium at the moment? I'm confused.
Bit of both. But they're also saying that there's so much of it at the bottom of the ocean, because we can't get to it, it's easier to go to space to get it. And that's why they keep sending all these like little drones onto sort of meteorites that are passing by to gather data of what's in them, so that when they come back around, because obviously they go to the sun, they sort
Put out
of
a big
orbit the
net,
sun,
catch it,
and come back. Yeah,
and
that's the
bring
whole
it in.
point, is that we're trying to get it so that we can actually mine it. And I think you might be onto something there. That's the reason that we did go to space, is because we found that there's minerals up there and things like that, and resources that we don't have on Earth that can actually help us sort of expand. We are very. This is getting out of it now. we are very, very much too reliant on fossil fuels. And maybe if we could find something else in space that could replace that, space is so vast that it's easier to get the resources and bring them back. If we can do it once, we know we can do it again.
It's vast and frozen like you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Omer.
That's not me. I thought it was me then. I'm like, oh my god, it's my internet again.
Nope.
It's me again.
You've been like solid on this one.
It was me again, sorry.
Yeah, we know it was you.
We was having a conversation.
I know I can hear you.
Oh.
Right. But yeah, like I say, I believe... Has it gone again?
No, you're still here.
Oh, so Jamie was like sat there dead still, and I was like, oh, crap, it's gone.
Just smoking.
You know, right. As soon as we mentioned Mothman, my internet started playing up. Does anyone else think that's like a conspiracy going on there now?
Too close. He knows his house is on the moon, and you called him out.
I've called him out. I've told everyone where he lives. Well, we'll start getting to wrapping it up, but Omer, that theory there, I think that is actually quite a believable one.
That explains
really like that.
why we did a big push in the late 60s, early 70s, and then stopped because they've not found what they wanted, and be like, I'm not funding this anymore. And now this is why only rich people are doing it, because they can fund it without any worry. But it explained why governments won't fund like manned missions to the moon anymore, because they know there's nothing up there to bring back.
Yeah. Just one sec, guys.
Is that about the moon?
Posting fake reviews about the moon. Went there with shit.
I might do that actually.
Would not recommend. Pool was a bit crap. Sea of Tranquility, no sea.
Not very tranquil.
Not very tranquil.
Tried to get Uber Eats.
Had to wear my moon
would
shoes.
not come here.
Had to wear my moon shoes. Bit cold.
Well, on that note of the coldness, just quickly, so I seen this girl who was trying to debunk conspiracy theories about the wind and things like that, and apparently the moon can get to 240 degrees Fahrenheit and minus 280 degrees Fahrenheit. So if that's the temperatures of the moon, how do people land on it?
Giving me Fahrenheit. Give me Celsius.
I don't know it in Celsius. It's just an American woman, so I have to go Fahrenheit on that one, I'm afraid.
I don't care. Sounds cold. I love it. I'm down.
And hot. 240 degrees Fahrenheit is hot.
Yeah, if I stay on the dark side of the moon, it's going to stay cold. I'll be happy. I like the cold and I like the dark.
If you'd have asked me 15 years ago, I'd have said to send you.
Omer's doing his quick little research there on Fahrenheit.
I want to know. So 200 degrees Fahrenheit is 93 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's hot.
And what was the
can't
minus
bear
200?
26.
Did you say?
Minus 280.
280. Wow, that's a minus 173. What's absolute zero?
Absolute zero's 0 degrees, isn't it?
No. It's below zero. Absolute zero is the coldest anything that can get.
Can you see what temperature it was on the moon when they landed, supposedly? The first ones.
I don't think they took a thermometer up.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Not necessarily. They took a camera.
Okay, so they were still 200 degrees above absolute zero, because absolute zero is a minus 273. That's the lowest, coldest anything can get.
Wow. It's my ex-wife's heart.
I don't even know what the opener was.
She's just laughing because she likes it.
I don't even know what the opener was. It still found it funny.
Absolute zero minus 273 degrees, was it, Omer?
Yep.
That is the coldest thing ever.
That's the coldest anything can physically get. You can't get colder than absolute
Coldest
zero.
anything can ever get.
And what's been that cold?
My ex-wife's heart.
Apart from that.
They've frozen things to that point at the 273 degrees minus. Like, molecules have literally stopped moving altogether. And you only get colder because molecules stop moving.
Is that what they did to Walt Disney?
Moving.
It all comes back to Disney and Nazis.
Disney's... he is cryogenically frozen, and he is in the moon, not on the moon. In the moon.
Honestly, if we named our episodes after what we said in What's Going On, that would have been the name of it. Walt Disney and Nazis. That would have been it for this name of this episode. That would have been perfect.
Guess what it's about?
You never would have guessed it was about the moon landing, would you?
No.
Now, going off that last theory there then, Omer, of us going to the moon to basically take resources and things like that, what are you scoring that on out of 5?
I 100% believe that one. It explains why there was a big rush to get there, and then why it died down so quickly on anyone else getting there. Everyone else is now using it as a relay point to get to Mars. So yeah, I give that a 5 out of 5.
I'm kind of there with you, actually. I kind of like that 5 out of 5 myself.
I'm going to go 6 out of 5 because I think it's the most believable. I do like that
Broken
one.
the scale. What is it with your family and breaking our scale?
Shannon broke the scale last time, didn't she?
You did before. You said 10 out of 5 before.
I'm allowed.
He said it as a joke, but his wasn't serious. But yours is genuine.
I think that is a genuine, because obviously the government, politicians, and NASA are part of the government. They're just greedy. They just want, and they don't care what they have to do to get that. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Is this now where the CIA kicked down our doors? We've got masks over our face, being dragged off on a podcast.
You know what? Let them come to mine. I'll twat them.
All right, calm down. Back off, United States. We got Jamie. But I think on that note, we will start coming to an end. Jamie, have you enjoyed being on the show?
I have. I've really liked it. At some points, I feel like I'm listening to it in my car, and I'm forgetting that I can actually.
You're part of the show this week. Yes.
Yeah. So it's been really nice. Thank you for having me.
Would you like to come back again?
Season 3, absolutely. Even season 2, if you've got anything interesting. Illuminati, I'm there. Titanic, I'm there. You've done Titanic.
Sorry, done Titanic with the infamous Big Dave. He was fantastic on it, referring the Titanic to the Fast and the Furious. It was amazing. Not many people can put those two links together, but Dave did it.
So Illuminati, 9/11, anything against the government, I'm there.
But yeah, I mean, I think I've loved the story of the moon landing for a very long time, and I've really enjoyed actually getting into the research and looking at things, and I've done quite a fair bit over the years and my own sort of things, and I really am fascinated by it. Again, like I say, splitting that side of me, part of me believes that we've been to the moon, we did land on it, we did go there, and we won the space race, and it was like this massive step. It was a massive step for mankind, and the fact that we know we can do it. We know we can get off this planet. We know we can explore space. Let's keep doing it. And they say that the whole reason that they stopped is money and the fact that public interest just dwindled. And then obviously we had a few setbacks.
Never been to do with public interest. It's always been the money. It's like they went up hoping to find something they could make money off. They didn't find it. They gave up.
Again, looking at it, we've tried other missions and we've tried other space rockets. I know I referred to it earlier, and I don't want to go too much into it because I would like to do an episode on it. And we had the events of Challenger and things like that, and all that happened, and that put a big sort of step back in sending us back to space in regards to looking for things. And I personally, in a way, I ask this every episode. I'd love to know the truth. Did we really land on the moon? Can you give me 100% definitive answer that we landed and that we have been there and we have got the proof? Because apparently they've gone over the tapes now. They've got rid of them by mistake. But could that all just be, again, part of a cover-up? But if you can definitively tell me that we've been to the moon, I'd be happy. And I would like to know the truth. Omer, what about you?
I'd like the truth of if we made it there in 69.
Yeah.
I do believe we've been to the moon, so I don't need more proof than I'm already aware exists for that. But
you want the proof of the first time we went to the moon?
For me, because I believe the moon, we've been on the moon. I just want them to come out and be honest now. Be like, okay, we didn't really make it when the thingy. This is the truth of when it happened, because it's not going to change anything from now, is it?
Yeah, true. Jamie, what about you?
Well, before the episode, I was firm believer that we haven't been. Now, I like that. I like Homer's theory that they went for something. But I don't believe anything the government tell me. So, I don't know. I really don't know. I'd like to know the truth,
Yeah.
but I don't think I know it, and I don't believe the government. So unless I've got another theory. It's not about the moon landing specifically, but I honestly believe that when we die, we find out everything. I feel like we're going everything that you ever wanted to know the answers for. We find out when we die. So,
Might find out who stole my chocolate bars then.
well, if it's when I was a kid, it was probably me.
No, a couple of weeks ago I had some chocolate bars that were stolen out of the bedroom, and all the kids say it weren't them, but I know it was.
Probably your pregnant fiance.
No, she couldn't eat chocolate.
Oh, but yeah, I can't believe the government. So I'm not sure. I'd like to think we have. I'll find out when I die.
Well, I think on that note, it's a great place to end.
Or you go on a moon holiday.
Yes. We're all going on a moon
Why isn't that a
holiday.
red letter day yet?
I think at one point when I worked for a company that Omer still works for, as one of their Christmas presents that you could actually get land on the moon.
Oh
They
yeah, you
gave
could
like a
purchase.
plot of land. Yeah,
It's like a 10-foot square of the moon.
yeah.
Does it
I
rhyme
did
with
it.
pie?
Yes, I did do it, and I have got a 10-foot square on the moon that I own. So I own land on the moon.
I've never understood that. But like when people, you can buy a star, can't you? You can
You
name
can
a
buy
star.
a star. You can
But-
own land in Scotland.
But who's
was
to
the other
know that
stupid one.
people haven't just sold that star to someone else?
That's a good point.
You've not all
Very
got like
good point.
a star collector
star,
group
you
on
can't-
Facebook
yeah,
and
no-
you're all deciding.
It's not like you're both going to go to the star at the same time and claim it.
But obviously, what you can do is you can follow us on all our social media. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and like I say, you can even find us on Coffee as well, where you can help support me and Omer in the show and the fact that we want to grow, we want to make something more of this, and hopefully for season 4 we would love to do full video content if we can. And like I say, we can do that with your support. If you support us on Coffee, you can start from as little as £1. It's not much, it just helps us build the show up and make something amazing from it. But like I say, we can only do that with your help. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all your socials. But apart from that, I'm going to kick the outro out. Here we go.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this intriguing journey through the unknown. We've had a blast exploring mysteries, conspiracies, and the extraordinary with you.
If you've enjoyed our discussion and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and share the caffeinated love.
And if you've got a conspiracy theory or an unsolved mystery and you'd like us to delve into it, don't hesitate. Drop us a line. We love hearing from you.
Until our next caffeinated adventure, keep sipping on curiosity and remember that sometimes the truth is hidden behind the most unexpected place. This is Omer.
And I'm Glen, signing off from Caffeinated Conspiracies. Cheers, and until next time, take care, and may your curiosity never run dry.